to start off with reading some scripture this morning and to begin kind of sharing a little bit of vision. The focus for this parent meeting is to talk a little bit about vision and my heart a little bit for this ministry and ministry with you all as parents with your students, ministering with your students, as well as begin sharing some plans that I have for the summer. But with that, to also say, hey, you've got hopes and dreams for your student too, and I want to be able to hear those, and so that we can really join together, work together for the sake of your students this morning. So anyways, I'm going to start with Deuteronomy 6. I'm going to read verses 4 to 8. I'm going to read verses 4 and 5 first. And so this is Moses talking to the people of Israel, and he says, "Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength." And so if y'all are familiar, these are familiar words probably for many of us. You may know that this is the Shema. It's that. It's almost like that mission statement, almost like we say Hail State. It's like that statement for the Jewish people. It was like one of two of their prayers that they would say regularly, that they memorized, and that was a part of almost kind of like their war cry, and it defined who they were, and that they passed down to their children. So it's a foundational verse for the Jewish people, and it helped them enter into a new land, right? So this is in Deuteronomy, and the people of Israel are beginning to enter into the promised land. And before they go, God is saying, hey, you need to be my people, and this is what it looks like to be my people in the midst of a land that's full of other deities and other beliefs. Remember that I am the Lord, I am one, so that I am your God. And then it's followed by what we remember is Jesus' words that he referred to the greatest commandment. And so that you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And it's a call into relationship with God, and from that we also know it's a call to be his disciple, like to follow, to love him, to be with him in everything that we are and everything that we do. But what follows it to me is, I feel like that's almost where the rubber meets the road, and for me it's a big gulp as a parent. And so starting in verse 6, going to verse 8, and we're in Deuteronomy chapter 6, for those who just came in, and it says, "And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands, and I'm giving you this day, giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home and when you are on the road, when you are going to bed and when you are getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates." And so he's saying that this Shema, this war cry, this foundational verse of who we are is one that's carried out within the family in everything that we do. And so sometimes when I get to this part, that's where I'm like, I'm struggling in this part. That's extremely challenging. So I'm sharing this with you as a parent too. And my hope and desire as a parent for my own kids, but also one who cares about students, is to help empower parents and to help you as parents carry out the foundation of our faith in them. And so parenting is tough. This is just going to lay it out, and I'm sure you guys are like, yep. Is that like at the end of the week, Caroline and I look at one another, and we're like, okay, they're fed, they're clothed, we're still alive, and like they're still alive. Like it was, but if I'm honest with you, sometimes I drop them off here at 9 o'clock, and I'm like emotionally exhausted already. and so parenting is tough. And so does anybody else feel that as well? So parenting, gosh, is such a challenge. And so I think about, when I think about this verse and I think about what it looks like to repeat, as it says, and talk about the commands of God to my kids, everywhere I go, it's overwhelming. It's like one more thing that I have to do, or it's like one more thing that I'm not doing well to be reminded of. Have y'all ever seen the video on Facebook, the mom guilt? Caroline sent it to me the other day, and she was like, welcome to my craziness. And it was just a couple moms in a car just going on and on about everything they felt guilty about. And so this was a little like, when I read this verse, it was parenting guilt / parenting, hashtag parenting fail. Like, whoo, okay, I'm going to have to do a little better job of this. But I think, that's my first initial kind of response when I read this verse is I've got to do more. But then when I dive into it more and I see kind of the heart of what God is saying here to his people, and he's kind of commanding Moses, he said, teach them, help them do this, is that what God is doing is he's laying out a way to pass down the faith to the next generation. And it's a as you go kind of thing. Not like I've got to do one more thing, but if we see it again, it says, repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home, and when you were on the road, and when you were going to bed, and when you were getting up. And so it's kind of like as you go to sports, as you go to school, as you ride in the car, as you sit and watch TV, as you go on vacation, as wherever you're going, he's like, let me be a part of that. He's like, point your children to me wherever you are. Help them to see that I am the Lord their God. I am one. Help them to see you, as parents, help them to see you loving me with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? And so it's less of one more thing I've got to do, and wow, this can be, this passing on the faith can really be something that's done in relationship together as we're going and as we're living together. And so life happens. As life happens, talk to them about your faith. As life happens with our kids, that's an opportunity to talk to them about our faith. Let them see us, let them see you following the Shema, loving the Lord your God. And let them see you fail at that. And I'm reminded of that. I'm reminded that twice this week I got mad at Emma, and I raised my voice too much. And in that moment, I think I contend as a parent, well, it's fine because she did something wrong and she needed, to be brought down. I needed to come down hard and teach her this lesson. But there was the nudge in me in that moment later on when the opportunity was right to go and to say, Emma, I'm sorry that I raised my voice in this way. And to actually begin modeling for her what it means to fail, fail in parenting and fail in that moment of loving God and loving her the best that I could. And so I'm just sharing kind of a little bit of my heart with you and what I'm grappling with as a parent in living out my faith and living out this Shema, this call of God to love him, to make him one, and in the good days and the bad days. And I think that's the heart of what God was saying. It's like, as we're living our life, live our faith and let them see it. And that's easier. That's easier said than done. And so, as a parent, I just want to say that, and as a youth pastor, as a pastor to your children and to your families, I want you to know that I'm here to help. I'm here to offer resources. I'm here in the time that I have with your students to share faith with them, but also to empower you to live that as well. And so in 1 Thessalonians, this is another passage that just jumped out to me that I think is so true. And it's 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. And I usually don't like to just pick out one verse here, but Paul is talking, I think it's, Paul is talking here to the church, and he's talking about how he has taught the gospel, he's preached the gospel to them, he's been with them, and how significant it's been. And he said, we loved you so much that we shared with you not only God's good news, but our own lives too. Right? And so he's saying that our love was so great that yes, we shared the gospel, we shared the good news of Jesus with you, but it involved our lives too. And so there's this thing about our faith that sometimes I can forget, that it's really relational. Like at the heart of what God wants us to do is live in relationship with one another in ministry, but with our kids too. So as we're living life, as we're loving them, as we're doing all that, as we're in relationship with them, it's those places of life in which we can begin to share the faith and share the gospel with them. So as we share life with them, we also share our life with Christ with them. The struggles, the good times, the bad times, as we work out our faith with them. And so this is a relational ministry, not only for you all as parents carrying down the faith, but it's the very heart of who I am and the ministry that I want to lead, which is a heart of relational ministry. But it takes time. Relationship takes time, as you all know. And so I want to help you embrace the time, not to, I can't wait for the next time. Because y'all ever do that as parents? I can't wait until they're having more freedom to drive, or until they get through with this sport or this activity, or they get to this school, or for mine, it's when Emma can get to kindergarten, or the summer times here. But when we do that, and I'm speaking to myself, remember as I'm speaking to you, so we do that, we miss that time. And so what are some ways that we can be intentional as parents with the time that we have, and also embrace that opportunity? And so here is a cool thing that I've seen. And so the jars with marbles in them. And so if you have a 6th grader, starting sometime around now, you have 312 weeks until they graduate. If you have a 7th grader, you have 260 weeks. If you have an 8th grader, 208 weeks. If you have a 9th grader, 156 weeks. A 10th grader, 104 weeks. And an 11th grader, 52 weeks. And so what would it look like to take a jar of marbles and have the amount of weeks, and to see it as a reminder, and take one out each week and say, hey, this is a week and I don't want to miss it. I want to do the best that I can to spend time and to be intentional with my kids, with the weeks that I have. And so this is a really easy thing that you can do as parents, and I'm going to try to do that as well. But also to think in terms of ministry. These are, I have like maybe 2 hours a week with your students every week. And I'm so thankful for that 2 hours. And so I'll think in terms of weeks in formation, but as a parent, how can we be intentional and embrace the time and the phases that we have? In context, from birth to 12, there's 936 weeks. So I need a bigger jar. But from that, you can begin to see that time and how it goes. So I want to help families. I want to help you love God together, and to not miss the phase that you have. And so as we kind of turn to the calendar, and I share some things on it that I'm planning, that I'm dreaming about, that I'm inviting you to dream about, this is kind of my heart. And so as you can see on the calendar, it's an outline. It's not final. And I did that intentionally because these are some hope and vision that I have, some dreams that I have. But what's really also very important to me is hearing from y'all. What's the vision, the dream, the hopes that you have for your students this summer? And I want to be able to hear from y'all so that we can begin to engage that together. All right, so I want to just point out a few things on this calendar. You may have questions. One is summer Sunday nights. And so those are the things. In purple, these are something that we've done for a while now. And so these are opportunities for you to host at your home, at a ball field, at a lake, somewhere like that, and for you there. And then summer hangouts are an intentional relational space where we're inviting students to eat lunch together, to go to the movies, to go bowling. And again, that's another place in which we love for students you as parents, to come and to be, to have time, to not be excluded from youth activities, but to be present there, whether you're sitting at a table eating with your student or you're at an adult table, you're still there. So again, volunteering at VBS is an opportunity to serve along with your kid, with your student, and then Kids Club. I want to take note of that. That's something that we're trying to do, kind of working on in conjunction. I say somewhat in conjunction, in connection with the relationships that have been built with the laundry ladies. And seeing the need to begin to reach out to our community. And if I was looking, anybody, y'all probably may have heard of Grace Works, where we went to Alaska last year for the senior high mission trip. And in that, we got a vision of we just went to parks and played with kids that didn't know Jesus, and we shared Bible stories with them, and we played games, and it was impactful. It was impactful for our group, and I saw the impact it made on our students, and I was like, we can do that here. There are kids in need here in Starkville where we can do that. And so kind of out of that, started talking with Cindy Melby and the laundry ladies, and so we began conversations with the folks at the King Center about coming once a week for 2 hours. We're still kind of work out the time, hopefully in the morning before it gets too hot, and do like a mini VBS with them. Play games, have snacks, do a Bible story, and do crafts, and just get our students interacting with community kids that are really in need there. So that's what Kids Club is. And then Service Saturday. Service Saturday is something that I would really like to do, to give it a try this summer. And it's something that implemented and brought at the previous church I was at for whole families to serve together on a Saturday morning. That we'll line up service projects around town, and that you come with your students and do everything from rake leaves to work at the Palmer home. Again, side by side stuff, working and serving together, a way that as you're doing, carrying out your faith. And so those are some of the picture, the vision things that I'm planning and working on this summer, as well as, there's, y'all know big stuff, and then the road trip is really just an opportunity to get kids out of town, kind of like a mystery trip, or like we went to Memphis Mayhem last summer, to really have a fun trip. But those are always open to parents and adults, and not just open, but needed. We can't make those trips happen if we don't have van drivers and enough chaperones, and so that's just always a lot of fun. I heard it said the other day that quantity time moves towards quality time. In other words, we can't have quality time without collecting some quantity time first. And so, as you think about maybe being present, whether it be in a student ministry activity or those quality times of sitting down with your student and having a discussion of faith, and them opening up, quantity time gets you to that place. And quantity time hanging out, even if it's in the back of the room at a youth function, you're hearing what's going on, you're hearing what we're talking about, and enables you to, I think what it will better enable you to then have those conversations of faith at home. And so I welcome you, and I say, hey, you're needed and wanted in this ministry with students for your students. So here's the outline of the summer calendar. And as I said, instead of giving you a final, I wanted to kind of begin to hear your hopes and dreams for your students. And so that's where the green card comes in. And so we're going to take a couple of minutes. I want to ask you, what are your hopes and dreams for the spiritual growth of your student this summer and even beyond? Just take a couple of minutes and write on those. The other thing I just wanted to point your direction is the volunteer card. So I'm going to ask for both back. One is, I want to be able to hear from people that I didn't hear from today. What are your hopes and dreams, and how do they align with the vision and the dream we have here? And how can we fit and work together to make that happen? To finalize the calendar, not just based on my thoughts, but on yours as well. And then on the things that we have kind of laid out on the calendar, how would you like to be a part of making that happen? Hosting a Sunday night, or going on the road trip, or coming and hanging out with students. All of these things have to have an adult presence to make them happen. And I would love to spend time with you and your students, building that quality time to begin to build the foundations of their faith together. So take a few minutes, write your name down on a couple of those things you'd like to be a part of this summer, and turn those in.